It's time for another PSA, a periodic strategic assessment as a public service announcement around potentially scary activities, but it's probably just silly assumptions. And now your hosts, Kai Noah and Kalani.
What's up, gang? It's good to be back.
Hey, gang.
I think these periodic announcements are picking up a little bit, huh, Kahu?
Well, you like to keep people informed.
And, just to stay informed, it looks like just this past week, we just had the Board of Regents meeting, and I have to say, it was quite interesting to see how the regents received the student comments, and over 131 testimonies this round from students, faculty, all across the island.
They must be pleased with the engagement and the overall involvement of the community and the students.
You would think so, but I think in one of the regents who is better off left unnamed, blatantly made it clear how they felt about the process.
So, yeah, I guess sunshine and the idea of transparency is sort of an idiotic idea when it comes to governance.
I think we can pull that clip up here too.
I was going to mention that. We can't bring up the search firm. And because the second you do that, it should have to publish. What some idiot will come in. Well, I've got to take that withdraw. Is that part of the minutes now? Some group or individual with their own agenda. I guarantee you, the second you bring up the search firm, we do. The second we have any exchange with you folks out there, you're serious about what you're doing. You got to remember, we have the sunshine law. You don't. So we have to be super careful about what we say and what we do and what we ask, because somebody's going to come in and say, oh, under the sunshine law, you got to do this. And one of the things that's crystal clear, Mr. Chairman, from all of the reading and all of the material we got, is confidentiality is absolutely crucial. The advisory group has to understand, this isn't a free-for-all that you get to engage in where you shoot your mouth off to the press. Some of the people have testified, for example, today, nice, sober, serious presentation to the Board of Regents. I've listened to some of the very people who testified here shooting their mouths off on television about what's going on. You do that, and we're going to be in serious trouble under the sunshine law. We're going to have an advisory committee. They have to understand. They're going to have to sign confidentiality agreements.
Yeah, and ironically, part of his concern, right? I think there's two parts to it that were interesting, at least for me. One was, even though he was concerned about bringing up the search firm, they still made the decision to choose one anyway.
I thought what was so interesting is it's not about ethical violation, nor was it about holding the moral center. It was about, be careful, there are cameras. We have to watch our process. Don't let the community idiots have any say in anything. We're smarter than everybody. We have to keep this secret and confidential.
Yeah, and well, and at least in defense of the other regions, I don't think everybody has the same perspectives as Abercrombie.
I concur. Even from watching that small clip, you could tell some of the other regions were uncomfortable with that positioning.
And I think even looking at, if we could even look at some of the student comments in regards to their hope for the university to be a more inclusive space.
Well, what'd you say, 131 responses?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is great participation. The kind of civic duty and responsibility you would think that leadership would want to see from the students.
Yeah. And one of the students, Kanoa Ventura, I believe or Ventura, my apologies, did a wonderful testimony on such, which we can pull up here.
This whole process has made me think about when I was a senior at Kalaheo High School and a representative of UH Manoa. I visited our college and career center, and I learned that the University of Hawaii is the third largest industry in the Hawaiian Islands. An archipelago of over 1 million people. And so when I think about the impact that the president has, it's beyond, the almost 50,000 students. Even beyond the Hawaiian Islands, it gets to millions, if not billions of people, and we consider the research that has been done historically related to such chemicals as Agent Orange and Roundup, or the failed attempts to construct the 30-meter telescope on Mauna Awakea, and there are very severe political consequences. And, you know, if the process is not democratic and it's not taking into account these viewpoints and these concerns, then it's oligarchy, really. If it's such a small number of people impacting such a massive population, even beyond our shores.
One of the parts that was interesting to me was how I know you had mentioned in our last PSA about Eisenhower, but Kanoa had brought up that the university is the third largest industry, even talking about the chemicals and the bad relationship the university has had with the community, and really how it's just an undemocratic process too.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly interesting, and they cast a wide shadow across the Pacific. The University of Hawaii likes to position itself as the arbiter of solution-based actionable activity. But I think if you were to, in fact, talk to most of the communities impacted, they would demonstrate that there's been less long-term positive impact from the interaction than they would have anticipated. And this is true all over the Hawaiian Kingdom also. I mean, the university has a long history, and you know, we're all related to it. None of us is without, shall we say, influence or without participation in this really large education industry within the Hawaiian Islands. You know, so I mean, we should look at our industries and really, I mean, what are we looking at? The tourism industry, followed by the United States military, followed by Hawaii government workers, and definitely the education facility, followed by nonprofits as the fourth industry. It's like that. So wait a minute, you mean charitable nonprofits and things like Nature Conservancy and the rest are driving the large industry here, another large, amazing. I mean, so there is no other region in the United States that is quite the economic profile that we have. Lucky we live Hawaii.
And you know, seeing this rush, seeing this pushback against community inclusion, and even some of the student remarks, I just can't help but wonder, like, isn't this like a public university? So shouldn't confidentiality, the secrecy, the rush to choose the next president, shouldn't we be thoughtful?
It does seem to play against what we traditionally think of as public domain, as community commons. And that's part of the tragedy, right? Is that when the governance group no longer represents, but starts becoming leadership, they get elected to represent their constituents, not to determine for everyone what is the right course of action. And in the case of the U.S. Or the UH regions, they get selected, you know what I mean, appointed, and who's part of that process? And as you pointed out, it's the third largest industry. That's a lot of influence over the economy and the operation of the state. And I think it bears some scrutiny by the public.
Mahalo nui, and I think even Regent Abercrombie had some strong remarks in regards to even the media piece and talking to the media. So it's really funny that you brought that one up.
Well, you know, that's the thing. The media can be your best friend, can be your worst enemy. Sort of like your next door neighbor.
Mahalo.
See you later, gang.
Ao he pau ike, i ka halau ho o kahi.